Hi there, David Boles here. Welcome to the podcast, Human Meme, where we talk about what it means to be human, to live a human life, and to also be a part of a meme, which is a way of sharing information and education with each other that is positive and proactive and necessary in the propagation of a society. Today, we're going to talk about the idea of beauty. And we're going to have at it from three angles: physical beauty, art, and architecture. But before we get into that, I want to give you a little bit of the inspiration for today's podcast, and that is a 1964 book entitled Philosophies of Art and Beauty, Selected Readings in Aesthetics from Plato to Heidegger. Edited by Albert Hofstadter and Richard Koons. Now, this book is really one of my touchstones for understanding how we live in the world and why we value what we value. Richard Koons was one of my professors at Columbia University, and the book consists of reading after reading after reading of 2,000 years of art and beauty, and what was important once is no longer important now, unless it's circular, and then it is important again, and why is it important again, and what changed. Excellent book. And now I'm going to take my extrapolation of that book in today's conversation. So the idea of beauty. People are drawn to beautiful things. People, if given a choice, would prefer to be beautiful than ugly. How we know what we value as beautiful is always changing. We think we know what a beautiful face is. We think we know what the right gorgeous body is like. And it's usually muscular, usually tall, usually thin. But not always. We always want to look right and fit in, and that is the idea of beauty that we chase from cradle to grave. But how is it possible that the idea of beauty is something attainable if it's always changing? We have to have the right hairstyle. We have to purchase the correct shoes. If we're out of style, we're out of society. People won't like us. We don't fit in. And especially children always want to feel like they fit in. And you fit in with fashion, with art, with beauty. And the marketers, the commercial sellers of this idea of beauty, know that about us. And so they have people, celebrities and spokesmodels and beautiful people, sell you things in a way to try to convince you that your beauty is not within, but without. And without them, you're not going to be beautiful in any sense of the matter. Physical beauty. There was a time in the world where a woman's body was Rubenesque. Overweight, we might say today. Shapely. Some might say not overweight, but natural. Okay, that's fine too. A man is usually thin, muscular. The big pot belly is not beautiful, never been beautiful, very popular today. So men seem to not worry as much about their own beauty as they worry about the beauty of others, especially when it comes to women. In the 1960s in America, we had a little bit of a body change. Being flat-chested for a woman was okay. A man not having a lot of muscles, being a little bit flabby was okay because it was about free love and naturalism. And whatever body God gave you was the body that you had, which is absolutely true in every way. And then in the 70s and 80s, as technology rises, we have the rise of the phony, the rise of the insecure, the rise of the faux, plastic surgery. And plastic surgery historically has been very important. It helps fix deformed people who have been wounded by shrapnel or birth defect or some other malady like fire or an automobile accident. So plastic surgery was meant to heal. Not necessarily to make more beautiful, but just to get you back to the way that you used to look, because that was who you were. Your face was your identity. Your face meant something. As you aged, people who knew you knew who you were because they had seen the stages of aging in your face, and they became to know you better. So what was once meant to heal, plastic surgery, now has become a grotesque of the body. We have this idea of a human beautiful for women, fake breast implants, butt implants, other kinds of implants. This is not earned beauty. This is not genetic beauty. This is purchased beauty. And for some reason, people think that's okay to fake how beautiful you are in the realm that doesn't really matter the most, which is the physical. Emotional beauty, intellectual beauty are far more superior. So we have, especially in the female form, we have women who are now shapely, falsely shapely, but not necessarily fat or Rubenesque. We have created these plastic monsters in what we have come to now know as the female form. Now, men are not without warrant. Our turn is coming. Now, can you imagine when it is humanly or inhumanly possible where men will have penis implants? Now, if we thought the boob implants had gone too far, wait till the men get their hands on their hand. You're going to see the largest, biggest 10-foot long penises that are 6 feet wide, because bigger is always better when it comes to a man. Women always want bigger and better, right? So the second that becomes available, Viagra is going to pale in comparison with these giant penises that these men are going to carry around. And the married women who have, come to enjoy life are going to have a new challenge set before them as middle-aged men the world over decide they want to recapture the merits of their youth by getting these giant implants. So again, the art of the penis is on the way, and it's not going to be a good thing for anyone. We hope that there are doctors who will not allow that sort of grotesqueness to keep happening, but as long as there's money involved, it'll happen. So please be wary. In art, the idea of beauty has always been captured in various memes. One of them, which I am not an appreciator of, is realism in painting. If you want to have something that is realistic, like a photograph, why make a painting? Why not just take a photograph? Now, realism before photographs served a purpose. You're trying to recreate a person, a place, or a thing as specifically as you can, as you imagined it. So in antiquity, it's good because we kind of know how people back then looked. But today, realism in painting is not something that's terribly interesting because it's just better to take a photograph than to try to repeat the photographic process on a canvas. Expressionism has always been interesting to me. Blacks and whites, odd angles, conflicted interests. It reflected, early Germany had a lot of expressionistic movement that kind of hinted at the world wars. And expressionism is very specifically unbeautiful, which is interesting. It didn't really take hold in the mainstream mind, but for those who were open to the idea of expressionism, I believe held a better life of understanding of the philosophy of art and beauty. Abstraction is by definition unbeautiful, because beautiful is symmetry. Beautiful is the cohesive whole. So if you have something that is abstract and disjointed and disconnected, you can misconstrue intention and meaning because you have to come up with your own. And when it comes to the idea of beauty, coming up with the idea of your own is not something that the artists or the commercial providers want you to have to deal with. They want to be able to present you with the idea, this is beautiful, therefore you like it. You want to be beautiful, therefore you must imitate this. And I argue that abstraction is much more interesting as a form of beauty, because you can find your own beauty within, even though someone next to you might not see anything beautiful in it whatsoever. So beauty binds us together, but it can also separate, which leads us to the next idea of, is art reflexive or reflective? The most interesting art, expressionistic, abstract, is reflexive. It forces you to think. It forces you to take a point of view. It forces you to agree or to disagree. Reflective art, which is realism, is not interesting really at all, because all it does is reflects what's already there. It's a mirror. Is a mirror dramatic, interesting, filled with conflict, dangerous? No. Don't live a reflective life. Live a reflexive one. Finally, we're going to talk about architecture. It's very interesting how when we first started creating places to live, they were of the land, from the land. The land was a part of the design. Wood, sand, mud, stones. Then we decided to grow up, move up, build up the skyscraper. Steel, yeah, from the land, but, I would say mechanically made, okay? High rises, if you go more than 3 floors in many cities, you have to not have a wood base, a wood structure. It must then turn into steel. You're required in a modern build today to have an elevator if it's more than 3 floors. And so this mechanization of how we used to live has been made unbeautiful by the very products that allow a structure to rise above 3 stories. Now, because we realize that our living spaces are dry and technical and realistic, we have a false return to the land. People try to put solar panels, people put grass on roofs, trees on porches, balconies, hiding the cement with flowers. But none of it works, because we are still lost. We have grown up and out and away from our roots, and we are no longer a part of the beautiful land that is naturally beautiful. And we have created, just like the plastic surgeon, a false place to live that has no human meaning or any human warmth. So we actively choose to design the beauty in our lives. And how do we live? Do we live ugly or do we live beautifully? We always hope in every way to be beautiful and to live beautifully and to share beauty and to spread beauty. But that doesn't always mean surface beauty. There is an inner beauty that can come out and shine even from a physically ugly person. And I'll let you define what that means. But is it better to be ugly on the inside or ugly on the outside? Are we in the world or are we out in space? These are the questions. I don't know all of the answers. And that's why we enjoy this time we share together in this podcast, because these are things that I'm wondering about. These are things that concern me. I don't know if they concern you. I don't know if they interest you. But if it starts a conversation, if it starts us on a pathway of understanding, then every second we spend together is worth it. I thank you for your time. Be a human meme.